Hey everybody! So in today's video we're going to talk all about Guinevere. I was finally able to fuse her on Samwise. So we're going to talk about what you need for that fusion. We're going to go over all about Guinevere and her special skills. And then I'm going to show you a lot of different samples of how to put artifacts on her, because there are a couple different ways you can build Guinevere just based on how you want to play. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm super excited. I've been saving gold forever in order to fuse Guinevere. So here we go. We're going to go to Altar and then to the Fusions tab. Now up at the top, you can see the two legendaries that you can fuse are Strybog and Guinevere. Now with Guinevere, you're going to need 4 different heroes. You're going to need Primislav, Elidor, Lilith, and Stenko. And Stenko is the only one out of those 4 that you can't fuse. All of the other 3 you can fuse by combining rare heroes that have been leveled up. Now each one of those is 4 million to fuse those 3 heroes, and then Stenko you have to get from the altar, and they have to be leveled up to 550. So went through all that good process, and here we are. We're finally gonna fuse Guinevere. So whenever you click on her, it's going to show those 4 heroes and then the cost of the 20 million gold, which is super gross, but it is what it is. So I saved up, and here we go. So let's do it. Let's fuse. Yay! Guinevere! Fusion completed. Man, I'm super jazzed to have her. I mean, you can fuse her again, like you can see it kind of pops back up, like, hey, you have the opportunity to fuse as many Guineveres as you want, but I can only afford 1. So let's talk about her. All right, so here are her base stats. If you ignore that green, that's from what I've done in the cabinet so far. You're going to see what she's going to start out with. So she's at 5990 health, 610 attack, 569 defense. Her speed is at 210, and then resistance 15%, just like everybody. Accuracy 0, of course. There's a little bit of crit, a little bit of crit damage, which is normal, and then mana gain is at 20. So we're going to go through a couple of different builds. I'm actually not going to show you an artifact video, which is what I normally do, just because I was so displeased with the artifacts that I had that I just... I went ahead and I put artifacts on her, but I don't like what I've done. It's not ideal. So definitely the next time that we have a free removal day, I'm gonna be taking it up on that and hopefully getting what I need for her. So one of my favorite things about Guinevere is her leader ability. So she increases the speed of all allies by 21 in the rifts. And I just think that's a huge deal, especially when you're really farming for good artifacts. So her first ability, she restores 22% of the target's max health point to all allies. She grants increased speed to all allies for 2 turns, and she removes 1 negative status from all allies. Now that maxed out does go to 25% restoration, and then she does the increased speed for 3 turns. Her passive ability, she restores health point to all allies the first time she takes damage from a special ability in a turn. She removes 1 random positive status from an enemy whenever she deals damage with gemstones. So mostly she's going to be like a healer and support, and I just think she's really excellent. So I'm going to show you a couple different builds, and we'll talk about kind of what they focused on and different ways. I'll show you like maybe 3 or 4. So we'll look at them now. All right, so this first build, they did use sets for those set bonuses. Here we have Swift and we have Protector set. So this is going to increase her resistance and then also increase her speed. When you look at the actual breakdown of what these pieces of equipment do for her, you're going to see, at least to me, what I see is 3 separate areas that they're focusing on the most. So that's health point, speed, and resistance. Health point is definitely a focus there for sure. The baseline, when it's maxed out, is right around the 24.5 mark. So some focus there for sure. And then with speed, they got her to 328. Not the fastest that I've seen, but it was definitely a faster Guinevere. And then with the resistance being over 100, that's going to help reduce any negative statuses that could potentially land on her. All right, on the second one, you can see that they also went with a protector set, but they have Guardian and then Hawkeye as well. Now, Hawkeye was not intentional, like they weren't looking for that specific set, because with Guinevere having, crit rate isn't exactly the most important thing, but in order to get the stats that they wanted, it just ended up falling into place. Now, when you're looking at the breakdown of these stats, you can see that there was a focus on speed. It's up to 305, but then that health point is massive. So it's a lot different than the one that we just looked at, where the speed and resistance were much higher. But this one, the health point is huge. So it's going to be really hard to take her down just because of how much health she has. And that's a really great thing to focus on when you're building up a support hero or a healer. All right, on this particular build, you can see that going for sets wasn't particularly important to this person. They typically focus on getting the stats that they want as compared to using the set bonus. So you can see that that does differentiate between the other two that we've looked at. But let's break it down and look at all of the stats. All right, so when looking at the stats of what they got, this is a little bit of a different view as far as the screenshot goes from the other ones. So health point, not really that great. So it's at 24,000. The defense was definitely a focus here, and that's over 3,000. It's 3228. Speed was 322, so not that shabby. And then you can see the resistance down there towards the bottom is 117. Now, there is some crit damage, and that just kind of naturally happens sometimes whenever you're upgrading artifacts. But the focus from this person was specifically speed, defense, and resistance. So you can see by looking at those that there are some stats that were kind of similar. All of them were focused on speed, and that's a huge thing, at least in my opinion, for any support or healer that you have. But then it kind of just depends on whether you want to go health, defense, or resistance. And those are the 4 things that I do recommend for your support and healers, is to basically make them really fast and really sturdy. So that way they can, better keep your team alive and, support them the best that they can with, kind of making them stout, I guess would be the word that I would want to use. So that's all that I really have today. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, as always. And a huge excitement thing, we hit over 100 subscribers. So I'm kind of blown away at that, honestly. I know it's like 100 doesn't seem like that many, but when you're just a tiny creator like me, it's a pretty big deal. So thank you guys for all of you that have subscribed. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And with that, here is a redeem code.